Hello students and welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Shefali Nagpal, Associate Professor at Human Resource Development Center, Bhagat Phool Singh Mahila Vishwavidyalaya, Sonipat. We are studying the paper Development of the Management Thoughts, Principles and Types under Human Resource Management. Today we will discuss about staffing. After the completion of this module, you would be able to understand the concept and the fundamentals of staffing, to explore the different aspects of staffing, and also to gain the first-hand familiarity with prevailing staffing practices in the organization. Let us begin with the concept of staffing. In the past, the human resource has developed to turn out to be an essential component of the organization. The human resource management is to plan, develop and administer the policies and packages designed to make the expeditious use of companies' human assets. The term staffing relates to recruitment, selection, improvement, training, reimbursement of the managerial personals. Staffing, like several other managerial capabilities, is the duty which the top management performs to control and perform it at all the time. In the new business, staffing could be the third step to planning, organizing. However, in the successful business enterprises, the staffing approach is non-stop. As a way to define and clarify the group of employees covered under the staffing idea, it should be stated that staffing function is concerned about the location, increase and development of all the employees of the organization, which purpose is to get the things done. This module addresses the activities important to develop a framework for staffing, that is knowledge, the qualities of the HR function, growing an allied HR shape based totally on HR method, thinking about the internal versus external HR. We will discuss the critical steps in the staffing and retained HR functions and the problem associated with the outsourcing, which includes selecting the companies and managing with the outsourcing relationship. This module concludes with a dialogue of assessing the effectiveness of the HR staffing. Background. Effective management and leadership involve creative problem solving, motivating employees, and making sure the organization accomplishes the objective and goals. There are 5 functions of the management and leadership, as you can see in the picture: planning, organizing, staffing, coordinating, and controlling. These functions separate the management process from other business functions such as marketing, accounting, finance. In a company, it's human beings which carry out the numerous jobs which can be required for its functioning. They are essential support of the employer, and HR provides the expertise, competencies, knowledge and execute to gain the organizational goal and objectives. In fact, the performance of the corporation largely depends upon its human resource. Therefore, the staffing feature of the management is a crucial function, and it involves within the building of the organizational body of workers. In staffing, the challenge is to provide the proper man or the woman for every job and to induct him or her with a job and within the organization, and to offer him or her the lengthy range increase and welfare as contributors of the business enterprise. Staffing is that part of the procedure of the control that is concerned with acquiring, developing, using, appraising, remuneration, and retaining the human resources so that the right persons are available at the right positions at the appropriate time in the organization. In the easy sentences, staffing is the management which is setting human beings to the jobs. Staffing supposedly cannot be finished once for all, considering the employees are often leaving, getting fired, retiring on the regular basis, so enterprise keeps generating the new positions and these must be filled time to time. Actually, the process of staffing is ever-going procedure for any organization. The first step in the procedure of the staffing is to recognize the process requirement or the task requirement. It deals with determining the factors individually, that is variety, and the type of personnel required. This may be accomplished by the way to organize human resource as useful resource planning in the corporation. The 4 constructing blocks for the staffing feature is department of work, departmentalization, third is hierarchy, and fourth is coordination. let us define the staffing now. Staffing is described as filling and retaining the vacant position inside the organizational structure. This is accomplished by using figuring out desired job requirement, inventorying the human resource, recruiting, decide on, placing, promoting, appraising, planning the careers, compensating, educating, developing a current body of workers or recruit so as to accomplish their responsibilities correctly and successfully. The definition of the staffing as defined by the Knoots O'Donnell is: the managerial characteristics of staffing involve maturing the organizational structure through proper and effective choice, appraisal and development of the employees to fill the job designed into the shape. According to the Theo Hyman, staffing pertains to the recruitment, choice, improvement, education, repayment of subordinate managers. Staffing is a characteristic using which managers construct an organization through the recruitment, selection and improvement of the people as capable employees. This is what the McFarland has stated. Nature of the staffing. The subsequent points describe the nature of the staffing function. Staffing is a critical managerial function. This function is usually the sub-feature of the organizing characteristic. All the 5 functions of control, that is making plan, organizing, directing, controlling, coordinating, rely on the personnel of the corporation that is made available through the staffing function. It is a pervasive activity. It is done in each business enterprise and at all levels and degrees of control in the enterprise. Thirdly, it is a continuous process. This is because of the fact that the staffing continues at some point of the stage in the business enterprise. Staffing is efficient management of the personnels. The functions of the staffing enables inputting the proper persons on the right job. It can be achieved efficiently by the proper recruitment tactics and efficiently managing by a system of proper procedure, that is training, development, providing remuneration, etc. Next, it is performed by all managers. Depending upon the nature of the business, size of the company, qualification and the skills of the managers, etc., all level of management are involved in the process of staffing directly or indirectly. In small companies, the top management generally perform this function. In the medium and the small scale enterprises, it is performed especially by the personnel department of that concern. The human resource staffing function consists of responsibility for recruitment and hiring, compensation and advantages, training and development, criminal compliance, discipline and employee termination. Following diagram shows the initial step of the recruitment of the staff. First is check the recruitment requisition and then deciding the criteria of the selection for that particular job. This step is followed by advertising and inviting applications from those possessing the required qualifications, skills, etc. Scrutiny is done based on the pre-decided criteria. After the assessment, selected candidates are invited for the interview. Rests are rejected. If during the interview the candidate matches with the required criteria, the candidate is required to move further in the selection process. It may be the second interview, group discussions or further steps, depending upon the recruitment process of any organization. If one qualifies all the steps of recruitment, he or she is selected and rest are rejected during the process. Understanding of the fundamentals of HRM can help any manager lead more effectively. Every manager should understand the following 3 principles while staffing: that all managers are human resource managers. Second, human resource is the most important asset of any organization, then the building, equipments, assets, etc. Organization can achieve the competitive advantage through its efficient employees. Thirdly, human resource management is a matching process. It must match to the needs of the organization with the need of the employees. Now let us understand the importance of staffing. The staffing function is a vital part of the management due to the following reasons. Staffing helps in discovering and acquiring active personnel for different jobs. It helps optimum usage of the human resources. It facilitates in growing expert in every area of organization. It enables to improve the quality and efficiency of the output through the selection of the proper person at the proper job. It facilitates in growing abilities in the business enterprise to withstand the challenges. It helps to enhance the job satisfaction of the employees and subsequently their morale. It enables better performance of the corporation by appointing a proper person for the proper job. It facilitates expansion and diversification activities within the organization. It gives for the improvement of the personnels through training and development, and thus providing the non-stop survival and the growth of the business enterprise as well as the employees. Process of staffing. The method of staffing function involves the human resource planning, that is, estimating the size and the nature of the personnel required for the recruitment and selection of the best applicants to teach, induct, reward, and to have the regular and the powerful communication with them. The technique of staffing include the subsequent steps like manpower planning. It is the very first step of staffing function. It includes forecasting and determining the future manpower needs of the organization. It is the estimation of the desired manpower retaining in the view of the present and future wishes according to the business enterprise. It is far seemed as the quantitative and qualitative size of labor pressure required by the way of business enterprise. It involves in growing and evaluating the manpower inventory after thinking about the development of the desired talents of few of the present employees through their merchandising and development. Following are some of the problems of the manpower planning in organization. First, lack of sufficient records and information on manpower. Second is lack proper retrieval system in many organizations. Third is lack of skilled, semi-skilled labor or educated manpower. Fourth, underutilization of manpower. Absenteeism is also emerging and rising in the organization as one of the biggest problem. Then manpower control and review. One is any increase in the manpower is considered at the top level of the management. Secondly, on the basis of the manpower, plans, personal budgets are prepared. These act as a control mechanism to keep the manpower under certain broadly defined limits. The productivity of any organization is usually calculated with the formula where productivity equals to output divided by input. But a rough index of employee productivity is calculated as employee productivity is equal to total production divided by the total number of employees. Exit interviews. The rate of turnover or the rate of absenteeism are source of vital information on the satisfaction level of the manpower. For conservation of human resources and better utilization of the human resource, studying these conditions, manpower control would be to have to take into account the data to make meaningful analysis. Next is extent of overtime. The amount of overtime paid may be due to the real shortage of men, ineffective management and improper utilization of manpower. Manpower control would require a careful study of overtime statistics. Lack of proper computerized information system on manpower planning and utilization. Then is recruitment. Once the necessities are recorded, the company invites and starts the program for the proper applications. Recruitment is the method for looking for the prospective employees and stimulating them to apply for the jobs within the business enterprise. It is a technique for making the applications inventory. It is a technique to draw most quantity of applications so that we can or the organization can have more alternatives for the better selection. In other words, recruitment stands for coming across the supply from which able employees are in all likelihood to be decided on. The recruitment results in the greater productivity, better wages and better salaries, higher morale, reduction in the employees' turnover and better recognition for the corporation. For the method of recruitment, high abilities are not important. Then is selection. It is the screening step of the staffing, wherein the decided packages of those candidates who are not found suitable according to the needs or the mentioned abilities are screened out. It is a process of removal of the applicants who seem unpromising for the desired job. It is a technique of choosing the able or the best applications from the utility pool. The cause of selection is to determine whether a candidate is appropriate for the employment inside the enterprise or no longer required. It also involves the rejection of the applications who are not found suitable. The main aim of this process of choice is deciding on the right candidate to fill in the numerous positions inside the organization. The choice procedures requires exactness. A properly deliberated choice technique is of utmost importance to any organization. Then is placement and orientation. As soon as the selection process is over, the selected candidates are appointed. After this, the next step in the method is putting the person or the designated worker on the activity for which he or she has been chosen. Orientation is given to the employee to make him or her acquainted with the units or with the environment of the industry. Then is training. After the appointment of the employee, the most crucial step is to impart training to the newcomer. With the rapid technological changes, the need for the training of the personnel is being increasingly more recognized on the way to hold the employees in touch with the brand new developments. Training is commonly given in steps with the nature of the activity and the scope of enlargement in it. It is important to acquaint the appointed employees with the techniques and the tactics which they are required to do for the particular task. It offers the appointed employees the advantages of in-depth expertise in their practical areas. It is essential that the organization has a scientific training program. In any other case, employees will try and research on the job by the trial and error method, which could prove to be a very expensive method. Development. Development is the staffing policy inside the company which requires a system of development of the personnel so that they may take the higher obligations. The process of development is for making ready the employees for the higher job responsibility. It widens their outlook and enhances their conceptual ideas. It opens promotional avenues for them, and for that reasons the offers of his or her increases inside the enterprises, and this helps them in getting more suitable output from them. Promotion. Promotion implies upgrading of the worker into higher role related to the increase in the rank status. It normally includes shifting the worker to a better activity which require bigger duties. Generally, growth in pay and enhancement of the power accompanies promotion. However, it is not always essential. Promotion can be given to the employees inside the identical department which they may be working, or by transferring them to the different department where comparable processes opportunities are there to them. Job rotation. It usually employs the motion of the employees from the one job to some other without any growth in pay, reputation or duties. Typically, employees are transferred to special work branches of the organization. Normally, the transfers takes place in the vicinity where there is a similarity among the jobs, paying about the identical salaries, but sometimes personnels are also transferred through their merchandising. Employees of the organization who have been identified for taking over for the better position inside the business enterprises are being transferred to the distinct department with the purpose to examine the intricacies of the functioning of the various department. This allows them once they absorb the position inside for a better management. There is appraisal. It is far typically carried out in order to keep a report of the behavior, attitude in addition to the opinions of the personnels towards their job. Appraisal of the employee is well known as shown how to correctly the worker appears in this process. Appraisal of the employees is likewise completed to recognize their aptitude and different features which are vital for performing that activity which has been assigned to them. The characteristics of which the personnels are generally appraised through in the performance appraisal include the ability to work, spirit of cooperation, activity expertise, discipline and sincerity, managerial capacity, self-assurance, initiative, trouble fixing abilities, intelligence and so on. The main goal of overall performance appraisal is to enhance the performance of the personnel by the way of mobilizing their best feasible efforts through the achievement of the targets and the objectives of the organization. Another is remuneration. It is the crucial and important step, and it is a form of the compensation provided monetarily to the employees for their work performances. This is given in the step with the nature of activity, professional or unskilled, physical or intellectual, etc. The fixation of the remuneration is tough and complicated feature of the control function, considering that because there is no exact or any method to determine the appropriate wages or the salaries. Student, let us now summarize what we have studied in this module of staffing. It pertains to the recruitment, choice, improvement, education, repayment of the subordinate or the managers. The four constructing blocks for the employer to decide about staffing is the department of work, departmentalization, hierarchy, and the coordination. The human resource staffing characteristics consist of obligation for the recruitment and hiring, compensation and advantages, training and development, criminal compliance, discipline, and employment termination. In this module, we understood the nature and the importance of staffing. The process of staffing include manpower planning, recruitment, selection, placement and orientation, training development, promotion, job rotation, appraisal and rotation. That was all in this module. Thank you.